Christian Wakefield. He's the MP for Bury South, and of course you may well remember he is the man who crossed the floor of the House of Commons over this very issue in January. Christian, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I suppose you feel vindicated today.
Well, I don't want to feel happy. I don't want to kind of feel like I'm gloating or like I'm saying I told you so. Really, it's a very sad day for politics and the country, because what we've had is a lawmaker becoming a lawbreaker, and we should never be in a position of that. But I think really, as someone who put their letter in to Graham Brady before crossing the floor, obviously that no longer counts. I think really the rest of the Conservative Party now need to look inward and say, well, we'd written a letter before, we hadn't submitted it, we were waiting for Sue Gray, we were then waiting for the police investigation. There's no more road to kind of kick the can down. Now is the time that letter needs to go in, because what we've got instead is a Prime Minister who doesn't respect his own office, doesn't respect Parliament, doesn't respect the general public, because he's lied to all of them. So I think it's about time that the Prime Minister just resigns and takes his Chancellor with him. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to do that.
We'll have to see, Christian, what the Prime Minister says in his defence, how he handles this. No word from him yet. But I'm guessing he would say that he unintentionally broke the law. I'm guessing he would say senior civil servants have also been fined. I'm guessing he would say that at the time, Downing Street is not just a home, it's a place of work. There was a siege mentality, people working literally around the clock in order to lead the country at a time of national crisis, at the height of lockdown in the summer of 2020. You've crossed the floor, but do you have any sympathy with any of those points?
I don't know. At the end of the day, he was the person that, as well as Rishi and senior civil servants, who were in front of the public every single day during the height of lockdown, telling the public what the rules were and how important it was to follow them. There's absolutely no justification whatsoever to either break them or not understand what they were. So I think trying to hide behind that and trying to muddy the waters by saying, well, it's my home, therefore I'm allowed to do it. It doesn't wash with me, it doesn't wash with parliamentarians, and it ultimately won't wash with the public. We've all seen through the lies, the obfuscations, and trying to get away with it. And no one believes him anymore. So that's really why he needs to go. When he's potentially going back to NATO and world leaders about what's going on in Ukraine, how can he be taken seriously when actually the rest of the country no longer trusts him? It just can't be done.
In saying all of that, we get lots of emails here, Christian, at GB News. I'm sure that your constituents, or some of them at least, feel the same. Some that might have been outraged at your decision to switch parties, who say, frankly, you know what, we don't really care very much about this. It is akin to a parking ticket or to a speeding fine. Lots of people incidentally break aspects of the law quite frequently, actually, and that this isn't a bigger matter. There are far bigger issues at play here: cost of living crisis, war in Ukraine, and then in the end, frankly, a lot of people just don't care about this and they wish we'd move on.
Well, I don't think that's the case, though. I don't think it can be linked to a parking ticket or a speeding fine. Ultimately, this is a law that he made. The rest of the country followed because we knew how serious it was, not only to keep ourselves safe, but to keep everyone else safe. The fact he was then in front of the TV cameras telling us every single day what the rules were, to then break them himself, is completely different to getting a speeding ticket. And I think the majority of the public will see through that. You obviously mentioned the cost of living crisis. There was a prime opportunity just a couple of weeks ago for a Prime Minister to do something about that. He and the Chancellor chose not to trust the public there, not to help the public. So I think he's run out of road with the cost of living crisis. He's run out of road with excuses now for partygate. He just needs to be the honourable thing and just go.